Okay, everybody, welcome to another episode of Pivot Play. My guest today is a very special guest. I've known her for many, many years, and we've gone to school together during our childhood years. So I want to introduce to you Maya. Maya, would you like to just introduce yourself, who you are, and what do you do now?
Hey, thank you, Adi. It's very nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation that I can be a guest in your podcast. It's very nice. Hi, everyone. I'm Maya Tarigan. I come from Indonesia. Just like Adi said, we went to the same primary school. At the last years of our time in primary school, we know each other. I live currently in the Netherlands. So I was born in Bandung. That's capital city of province of West Java in Indonesia. I'm oldest from 3 children, and then my father he worked in a tire fiber company, and my mother, before she got married, she was a school teacher, and then we lived in Bandung until I was 4 years old, I think. Originally, my parents come from another island. It's from Sumatra, and my father he went to Bandung for pursue his study, and then he got job there. And then after that, we moved to Bogor. There's a what smaller city in compare with Bandung, because my father got a new job there to improve our economic situation. And then, I came from a simple family, a modest family. Even my grandparents, they didn't have any a formal education. My grandmother, as a little girl, by that time, it's not a privilege for a girl to go to school. And then he made a promise for herself. One day, if I have children, I have to send them to school. So she did it, and my father and 6 of his siblings, they went to college. And then, we were not family in the beginning. And then we went to Bogor, and then just like my grandparents, my parents thought that education is also important. And even though they didn't have so much by that time, they thought that we have to send the children to a good school. And in Indonesia by that time, I think until now, good school, it means that it's a expensive school. And then I remember I had a test to enter the school, and I passed the test. And the second step was my parents had to bargain about the tuition fee. So it's quite challenging by that time. That's my childhood. I think. What do you want to know more?
That's interesting. Because I didn't know that you were born in Bandung. My parents, at least one of my parents was born in Bandung. My dad.
Okay. Yeah.
And a lot of my cousins and families actually live in Bandung until now.
Okay.
I didn't know that you're actually born there, and I was born in Bogor, the small town. I think it's interesting because some of what you shared about the school in Indonesia kind of brought back some memories for me. What was your memories about that school? Did you enter in grade 1, or was it through a kindergarten?
Grade 1. I went to another kindergarten because by that time was we were late for the admission, I think, or maybe we didn't have enough money to enter the school. I couldn't remember. My mother, she was a elementary school teacher before. She was quite strict for me. I raised quite strict, so she learned me already to read before I was 5. So actually, before I went to the kindergarten school, so she has to be able to read to be accepted in that school. So I could already read before I went to the kindergarten, but unfortunately I didn't accept in that school. I forgot what was the exactly reason. And then for the first grade in elementary school, we redo. And actually, quite many good memories, I think. It's a Catholic school, and it's well known this for the discipline, actually. And then I remember I was a bit overwhelmed in the first grade too by that time, because my former kindergarten school was a really small school. It's felt really comfortable, really familiar. Even in my first day at the kindergarten school, I said to my mother, "Ma, just go home. I'll be okay here." So in the first day. And then it's another story when I went to our primary school. It was a big school, huge school. And then I went with the school bus. And then I was really afraid that I was not on time to reach the school bus if the school over was. So I went to school with anxiety, with stress. If I couldn't on time to reach the school bus, because it's really crowded, so many school buses. I was afraid I couldn't recognize my own school bus, and I went crying in the school bus. And also in the first class, by that time my mother told me, you have to sit in the front row because you can you can hear your teacher clearly, and then you won't get distracted. But my teacher by that time, she sent me to the back row. And then I thought, why I have to sit here without explanation? And then I went cry also. And then some student or pupil, they told my teacher, said, yeah, Maya cries. And then my teacher asked, why do you cry? And then I said, are you sad because I sent you to the back row? Yes, I said. Now it's because you can already read, you are smart, and then you have to sit at the back because I have to give more attention to another students. Yeah, but for a child 6, you feel like you are abandoned or I don't care of you. And then also the anxiety that I couldn't go back to my home because I couldn't reach the school bus on time. So in the beginning was a bit stressful for me. And then after that, I met some friends, and it was a really fun time.
That's interesting because it seems like your mother had quite a, I guess it makes sense because she was a school teacher. So she
Yeah,
understood what it takes to be a good student, to get a good education. And the kind of
yeah.
advice that your mother gave you, I never heard from my parents.
Okay.
Like I don't think they care where I sat, whether it's in the front, in the
Yeah,
back, you know. That's
just do what
interesting.
you like.
Yeah, it's like
But
we,
I think it's also related. I don't know how you experience with your parents, but I think it's also related to Asian culture and how they raise up the children, and maybe also with the background from my parents, as they came from a simple family, and then they learned that education is really an important factor to have a better life in the future. And then also the idea that the first child, she raised me with a really intense sense of responsibility. I have to set a good example for my younger siblings. My mother's herself was also a first child, and I didn't really realize that. I just get used to how she raised me, but in the later years of my life, I found it one side is also positive, but they have also less positive sides to be raised up with that sense of responsibility. So that plays also, I think.
I think what you said about being the first child in your family put even a little bit more expectation on you? Because
Yes.
that's also what happened in my family. I'm the youngest of three. So
Yeah.
I got, I think, the easiest instruction from my parents, and my oldest
Yeah.
brother got the most, let's say, strict type of parenting.
Yeah.
And, every child is different. So the parents sometimes also they adjust to, what, how the child
Who they raise.
behaves, right? So how did you see yourself when you were growing up? If you look back, what kind of a student, what kind of a child were
Mm.
you in your elementary school years?
Um, yeah, I think yeah, just like I told you previously, I love to go to school, but that pressure maybe is also in combination with my own personality. I think I was I want to I realized in the very early age I
Mm,
already had a vision or a thought I want to be different, or I don't want to follow the crowd. For
mm,
example, in first grade of elementary school, everybody asks, yeah, what do you want to be if you're big, if you're grown up? And everybody said, boys usually say they want to be pilot or a policeman or doctor. Everybody wants to be doctor, but I thought it's really boring. It's not original. Everybody wants to be doctor. I don't want to be doctor, and then I don't want to be pilot or engineer.
mm,
Everybody wants to be to do that profession, and I thought I will search something that nobody knows what is that. So I want to be an astronaut. Nobody knew what astronaut is. I read an article in the newspaper. It said about, maybe the candidate of astronaut, the first candidate of astronaut in Indonesia was a biologist, and she failed to join the mission.
mm,
And then I thought to myself, I will be the first astronaut in Indonesia. I will replace her. And then, yeah, so it's also the nature of myself. I think that I want to do something different. I want to be different, and also in combination with the how my parents raised me up, especially my mother, dad, and then I academically in the beginning of elementary school, I found it very easy. Sometimes it's also very boring for me. I could follow the lessons easily. But I realized also I have sometimes also the pressure that I have to have a good achievement, because in the beginning it was really easy to be the first. Yeah, the first in the class. And then when it comes to what more difficult lessons, and so I had really feeling, could I make it? I have to work harder, that. And then also I got also, yeah, compliments from the teachers, if you are that you are smart, and it put also more pressure, I think, for me. But I couldn't say that I didn't enjoy my childhood there. Yeah, when we met, we are in the last grade, I think, or the fifth grade. I think also we had a lot of fun, and also with another friends. But in the later years, I realized what I experienced in my early years, it
mm,
really formed me.
mm.
And then yeah, it formed me. Yes.
Did you think you were very ambitious as a student?
Ambitious, I do want to do my best. Yes, maybe I can say that, ambitious, but later on I can also recognize in which field I could go further, in which field not.
Mm,
For example, later in the high school period, I know that I'm not anymore the best at the class, and sometimes it's difficult to accept that. But I realized that I gladly I could accept that, and also switch to another path. For example, yeah, in the high school subjects like physics, chemistry, mathematics. I'm not really an exact person, not really technique. And then in that high school, it's a really important subjects to be the best at in the class. So I know I let it go. So I chose to focus to the subjects that I better in. It ambitious, and then also I learned also from failure. For example, after high school I wanted to be doctor finally. And then of course in Indonesia the best university for medical school is the one from the government, and I didn't accept there. It's quite a disappointment, of course. And then also I questioning myself, did I good enough to be accepted there? I've done my best. And then I went to another medical school. That's a private medical school. But yeah, I think later on, it doesn't make any difference in which medical school you went, but how you became after you graduate from the medical school. So finally, I learned also to deal with the expectation from the environment, and also the expectation from myself. Yes.
Yeah, one of my recollection, this is one of the
Yeah.
memories that I still remember vividly. You know, after every school year, they announce the ranking in the class in front of everybody. You remember that? So we would be standing in the flag courtyard in the field.
Yeah.
And we were never in the same class. We were never in the same class.
Never been.
But in the sixth grade, that was my first time that I was first in my class. And I remembered you were disappointed because you were third in the class, if I remember correctly. So you didn't get first. And when I looked at you, you looked like you were going to cry.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Okay, you noticed that.
And I remember too that I was so lucky because had I been in your class, I wouldn't even have made it to the top 3 because your class was, I think, the most competitive for sixth grade, I think. And I was thinking, my class, I mean, we were only graded based on our class, not based on the whole school. Maybe there was a grade for the whole school as well, but you received the trophy.
That, yes.
Remember that we received our trophies for number 1, number 2, number 3. So that's when I kind of read that, okay, you're super ambitious because it seems like you wanted to be first really badly, much more so than me.
Yeah. And yeah, years later on, I think in that time, I tried to gain the affirmation also from that achievement, I think. Because at home I was the oldest, and I learned to the attention of my parents quite early. I had another sister before I was 2, so I haven't had really attention from my parents for myself in the early years, I think. And then I thought also, if I can show them this achievement, so they will put more attention to me. I think that plays also that pressure. Of course, later on I thought, yeah, of course it didn't work that way. But if you learn that you have to gain the attention from your parents, you try it in a positive or a negative way. In my case, I try to gain it of being the best at school, because in the first grade, when I was the first at class, my parents were really happy. And so I thought, hey, I could make them happy with being the best in the class.
So how did it shape you to want to go to medical school? What interested you in high school that you decided to pursue the medical and not astronaut anymore?
So that's also the ability to to adjust yourself. Yeah, just like I said, I'm not really an exact student or technique, physics, chemistry, that I thought, yeah, this is really abstract for me. And I love science, but I love also socials. I love also people. And then I think really early in my age, just like I've told you, I want to do something that meaningful for other people. And I thought education and healthcare would be the vehicles to do that. And then I I thought also maybe being a school teacher also something for me. But I thought, yeah, being a doctor, you can have also a direct impact. If you cure people, if you help people, at the time you can also see the impact. That's and then I think the other reason was also I love a clear path or a clear plan, because when you go to med school, it's clear. If you graduate, you'll be a doctor. It's another story if you go to the economy faculty also. You can work in the bank, you can work in the factory. I don't like it. So I love a clear path. So if I choose med school, I become a doctor, and that's clear.
So are you like a very organized person? You're a planner?
I think so.
Mm.
So I remember when I was a child, I in my bag, in my school bag, I arranged also my book from the tallest to the shortest. It's crazy actually. If I realize it now, why in my school bag.
So okay, which university did you go to?
In Indonesia is in Jakarta. That is a Catholic University, Majaya.
Okay, okay. And what kind of medical degree or specialization did you do?
So in Atmajaya is so in Indonesia there are two kinds of university. Maybe you know it. The one from the government is always being seen as the better universities, but nowadays is another story, I think. And the private university, and Atmajaya is quite old private university, and is best well known for its med school. For private university back then, they could only perform the basic study for being a doctor. So the first 6 years to have a medical degree. So you will graduate with MD. And then the specialization, it's only can be done in a government university. So I went to med school in Atmajaya. I graduate after 6 years, and I get my medical degree, MD.
And then what happens after? Where did you go?
After that, my first job as a doctor is a doctor in a remote island in Indonesia, the most southern island in Indonesia, Rote Island. Maybe you know that. That's a border with Australia, the southern part of Indonesia. Back then, an obligation program anymore. Also in my time back then. But so you work as a temporary employee of the Health Ministry of Indonesia, and you get paid to go to remote area, actually to meet the demand for health professional care in such remote areas. So I chose that for a half year. And also I love adventure. I want to see another part of Indonesia. And also I realize I have always heart for people that don't have the same or less chance to get healthcare or to get education. So I went there. So I work in a like a primary healthcare clinic, puskesmas. Maybe you know that term still. That's in that island. Yeah, there's a few villages. So I live in one village there. Yeah, it's a lot of experience, a lot of memories. What I love the most actually there, you try to give the best healthcare with what you have there. That's the challenge, and also the challenge to win the heart of people there, and then also to get along with the local leader there, because in some remote area, by that time, maybe nowadays also, corruption is still issue there. For example, that clinic, actually they had an ambulance. But what did the head of the clinic do with the ambulance? He used this for his personal thing. And then he used it to collect some woods in the forest, and the ambulance was broke. And then, for example, if you had to go to small villages in the hills, in the mountains, you have to send some people with a motorcycle, for example. They didn't even have money to buy some gasoline or extra money to buy some food, for example. That's really really sad, actually. One time I had a chance to replace him because he has to go to the city because his son got married. I didn't remember anymore. And at times he said, would you please take care of the clinic? Okay, so I said. And by that time was a special program from the World Health Organization. This annually they gave some vaccination for the children there. And then I tried to organize everything, and then I got some amount of money to finance that program, and I organized it. And I was surprised by the response of the employees of the clinics, because he said, we've never get paid before. We are surprised that actually there's finance for this program. And then, for example, also they had a small baby is really under nutrition, underweight. If you saw him, it's like you saw a baby monkey. And then I say to the employee of the clinic, we have a food for this baby as a supplementary food for babies. I know that. Where do you put it? So they just put it in the magazine, and it's not being distributed. We have this. Why? And then after that, I said to the mother, because they're actually island, they don't have any milk. So if the mother, then they don't have breast milk, so they just give sugar water. So it's just like they have like a palm tree there, and the fruit it produces like a sweet water. So they give the baby only that sugar water. So it's definitely no protein, no nutrition other than sugar. And then I say to the mother, you come every other day here to the clinic, and we will give you this. And I want to see you your baby back 1 month, I say. And then I gave that instruction also to the employee. And then after 1 month, I didn't believe what I saw. The baby, it's become a healthy baby, and I didn't recognize the baby anymore, the baby monkey before. So it's really sad to see that. And I know I have to limit also my expectation. That by that time I learned also to do that, because I'm temporary doctor here. I work only for 6 months. I try to do my best. I try to also to manage the medical record, for example, before they don't have any medical records. I met just a simple system. I thought, if you don't have any medical record, how could you follow up the patient? And then I have to learn to manage my expectation. If you work only 6 months, you don't have to make a long-term plan. Just do what you can do in that 6 months period. Yeah, that.
Was it difficult for you to work and live in an environment that is very different, than the city life that we are used to in Java? I mean, that sounds like a very remote island with only a few people. And
Yeah.
did you choose to go there? Was that a choice, or were you assigned to go to Rote Island?
We could choose a couple of province and island to go to. I chose that because this is part of very remote island. So you you have to be there to work there minimally for 6 months. If it's an island that less remote, for example, or area that less remote, you have to work there minimally 1 year. So I chose that because I had already planned in my head that I want to further do my residency program. And in Indonesia also, if you have experience to work in a remote area, it will be appreciated when you apply for residency. So that's why I chose that island also. And for your question, how was it for me? Actually, I enjoy it. You get paid also quite a lot there in comparison with what can you get as a new doctor, junior doctor in the city actually. And then when you live in such a simple remote area, you realize also that you don't need so much.
Right.
You can survive without television. You can survive without GSM signal. We have to go to some hill to get signal there. So usually at night I went to with the neighbors together. Maybe I have to send texts with friend or with my family. So we went to a hill or to the beach. So we get a signal there. And then I didn't have any refrigerator, and the toilet, the bathroom was really primitive. And then in the morning, I had call you that a goat or in the backyard of me, and then yeah, I don't have any entertainment, so I could live with it actually. But I know that I want to further to study further, so I couldn't stay there for a long time.
So 6 months.
For 6 months, yeah.
What do you think were the most important lessons you learned there during your 6 months?
A good question. I think just like I told you, actually we don't need so much to have a good life. I don't say that a good life there, but actually all the luxury that you have if you live in a city, that's an extra. That's an extra. I don't say that a good life because just like I said, the quality, for me, two important things that people should have equally, there's education and healthcare. They don't have it there. But the rest actually is luxurious. And then that was the thing that I learned there.
Okay. So did you further your studies after the residency?
Yeah, so I went back to Jakarta. I live in a small room in Jakarta, and I work. So before I admit my CV to the university for the residency program, I tried to gain more experience. So I went to work in a big hospital in Jakarta. Maybe you know it, Carolus Hospital in central Jakarta. So I worked there almost for 2 years. I was a hospital doctor. So hospital doctors and junior doctor, they do all around there, ER, in the ward, and then in the general clinic. And then after almost 2 years, I applied for the residency program in University of Indonesia. Yeah.
And how long was that process in the residency?
It was 4.5 years.
Wow.
4.5 years. Yeah.
That's a long time to commit to a profession.
That's a long time.
Right.
Yeah, and it's in Indonesia, you do the first 4 years to become a general internist. And then after that, if you want to subspecialize yourself, is extra 2 years. Here, for example, here in the Netherlands, you do it directly. So 6 years specialization, but when you're graduate, you are already subspecialized.
Okay. Yeah. So that seems like a lot of education for you. You for 6 years.
You
and
too
then,
also, right?
not really. Not really. No, well, when I was in primary school, I thought I wanted to be a school teacher. That was my
Oh yeah,
first, yeah, that was my first thought. I'm not sure why.
our common interest.
Yeah, I've no idea why that was. And then
Mhm.
when I went to college, first thought was to pursue psychology.
Okay.
But, long story short, I was advised not to pursue it because, it's like you have to be very good to be a good psychologist, to be a good psychiatrist. And somehow it dissuaded me from pursuing that because I thought I'm not smart enough or special enough to be successful at that field. And then it was going to be hard for
Mm.
me to, to build a career out of just
Mm.
a psychology background. So yeah, I
Mm.
went through a lot of different considerations. I switched my majors 5 times, and in the end,
I didn't know
I
that.
stuck with engineering, and it fit me okay.
Okay.
But no, I didn't spend. I only spent about 4.5 years total for my master's as well. That's it.
Okay.
So it was
Yeah.
much quicker, less painful for me. Yeah, because in these days, I just listened to another podcast. There was a CEO
Mm.
that was interviewed, and he said at the end of the podcast interview, he was asked, what
Mm.
is your advice? What is your advice to people out there? And the one thing that he said was learn to work hard. And
Mm.
he said it that way because hard work is not something that you just get. Hard work is not something that you're born with. Hard work is
Mm.
it's like a habit. It's something that you learn to do to be able
Mm.
to accomplish, great things in life. And he said the number
Mm.
one rule is just to work hard and to learn to work hard. Because he talked about
Mm.
so much about how the world is changing, technology with AI, and people are worried about
Mm.
being left out of job because their job no longer exists. And his number one thing was, well, if you work hard, you will learn how to figure things out and you will learn
Mm.
how to solve problems because you work hard and you're used to working hard. So it sounds like, comparing my education to yours, it takes, I think, a lot more hard work in doing what, 10 years at least, plus all of the requirements that you have to do to
Mhm.
be, a doctor in that remote island. That's 10 plus years of education. And I'm just curious why you chose to go through that. And what was it about the profession or the direction that you were pursuing that made you stick with it?
Okay. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I think I'm in love with that profession. I think, and but the danger also that I don't have. I must not put my identity also in that profession. But I love that profession because it begins from the idealism. Idealism, I think, that I want to make a difference in people's life, and that being a doctor, it seems for me to be a vehicle to do that. And then I love to listen to the story of people also,
Mm,
and I love to be a part of it or to be able to inspire or to make a difference in that field. And if you ask, yeah, what was the drive to be persistent in that school? I think agree also with what you just mentioned about the advice from that CEO. Being a doctor, unfortunately, in all over the world, I think is indeed that's the most long study that someone have to do to make. The first study is always 6 years to be an MD, and then after that the specialization for until 6 years. And then if you want to to get an academical degree as a professor, as more years after that. So a long lifetime study. That's also what my docent or my professor said when I studied in Jakarta. It's a long life study, and it's never been Yeah, I think also in a lot of another subjects, I think it's also a long life study. But when you due to people's body, I think you have also the privilege. I think it's not so much profession in the world. I think that you be able to ask people to put off their clothes. Profession where you listen to the most intimate or maybe sometimes a dark secret of somebody. It's really a privilege. And I think also, just like you said, to be able to deal, to cope with that privilege, you have to be trained also. You have to work hard also, because that's a lot. That's a privilege for me when I listen to the story of my patients or when I examine them. I thought, hey, this is a privilege also. Actually, that's why I think that makes me to want to pursue to achieve more in my study. And also, I think in Indonesia, if you only become an MD, you couldn't really make a good life as a doctor in comparison with what you sacrifice during your study. That was also one challenge, I think. Yeah, maybe I have to tell this also. After I finished my specialist, I became an internist. I went back to my first university. So this is a teaching hospital. I chose that because, just like I told you, I love education. I love medicine. So I went work there also as a docent and also as a doctor. And then I remember one time I told my students, because in the university, in the med school, the fee is going higher and higher, was going higher and higher. So only students from rich family could enter that medical school.
Right.
And then after they graduate, actually they earn really, it's not really satisfying if you are get used to be spoiled with your facility when you're at home with your parents, and then you graduate and you work as a junior doctor. You earn about, by that time, maybe 5 million rupiahs. I don't how many dollars is it now, 200, $300.
Per month.
And I asked them, because sometimes I had a lecture or we have to discuss a case, and then they came a bit late without any discipline. And they had a Starbucks coffee in their hand, because in front of the university was a mall. And in their lunch break, they went to the mall, grabbed some Starbucks there. It's a luxurious life. And then and I asked them, how many of you went to the med school because you really want it, and how many of you because there's a request from your parents, or because your parents are doctor? And then indeed, maybe 30 or 40% that that really on their own motivation to go to the med school. I said, and do you have any idea how much will you earn when you finish with this study? They didn't have any idea, and I told them this amount. And then I think the pocket money that you get from your parents now is twice this salary that you
Oh,
that you
wow.
will gain. And then so if you don't really have heart to become a doctor, you may think about that, and then maybe you don't have to continue this study. I say. So I was quite strict also as a docent. And then I thought, now, I'm strict, but I want to learn them the reality, because I
Yeah.
saw, of course, you want to, if you parents already paid so much for your study, you want as soon as possible to gain some money again. And that's a really, it's a really a sick system actually in the education, in the medical education, and in the medical care in Indonesia, because it has a domino effect. If you have to pay for your study a lot, and then you pay badly after that, you will find a way to get more paid, and it's a corruption actually after that. So that's why. So if you ask me, I fell in love with this profession, and I wanted to 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 make some difference in people's life.
How do you think that's different from, let's say, the Netherlands where you are, in terms of the system, the education, as well as the medical system there once you graduate as a doctor?
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Here in the Netherlands, for the basic study to become a doctor, yeah, you pay by yourself, and you can have loan from the government, and you can pay back later. But the tuition fee for all of majors here in Netherlands is the same. Medical school, economic, law school is the same. In Indonesia, the tuition fee for medical school always the most expensive. That, and then after that, if you for a residency program, you're getting paid here. It's quite a good salary. It's not much, but it's a good salary. So after that, you work in a hospital or somewhere. If you're a medical specialist, so you work in hospital. If you're a GP, so you work in practice or in other healthcare settings, and you didn't get paid per patient here. So you got only salary. So as a doctor, you don't have to do with money. So they get paid if they do the residency program. And then when they work, oh yeah, I told you about they paid also here when they work with a salary. In Indonesia, you're being paid for a patient.
Mm.
When I work in Indonesia, I found it also really uncomfortable, because if you being paid per patient, so you hope to have a lot of patients to
Right.
make a lot of money, of course. And I work in a academic hospital, and it's also a hospital for people that don't have enough of money. So for less fortunate economic people, I ask always, almost always, do you have insurance? I want to perform this test or this imaging. Can you pay that? It's actually not, how not it's not ideal to work like that, because, and then you get paid because you cure somebody.
Right.
Here in the Netherlands, you don't have to have a direct connection with money, so you just get paid. It's more comfortable. And also you don't have also to with the pharmacy company. Here is a bit quite good regulated, so the doctor, they don't have to talk to the medical representative. I have a new medication which you prescribe that, something like that, and you get this amount if you prescribe that. In Indonesia, it's that system still, part of a daily practice for a lot of doctors there. That, and the other side of that system here in Netherlands, that you're, in Indonesia, if you have money, you can go to the hospital, or you can pay the specialist. So you will get help, or maybe also not actually needed, but you can get help quickly. That, but sometimes it's not necessary, because I have a tummy ache, maybe I have this, maybe I have that. So it's more like a maximal medicine. But here in the Netherlands, because everything is covered, almost everything is covered by the insurance, it's more optimal medical medicine. There's no any alarm symptoms for this and that. They don't think that you have to be examined, or they don't think that you have to go to the doctor, something like that. For people from another culture, it's a bit shocking if you go to the GP here. I work now as a family doctor, and I have sometimes also people from another culture, of another country, that more get used to culture, just like in Indonesia. I have this, I want to make this examination with that request. But here, no, if you don't have any other symptoms, it will be over, just go home.
Right.
That, yeah.
Yeah, I realize as I get older, there's more different kinds of, let's say, tests or procedure that I have to do, whether it's ultrasound, MRI, and I cannot imagine people that have to pay out of pocket, like 100% of the cost to do all these tests. Because if I have to pay out of pocket, maybe I will think 3 times before
Yes.
I decide, okay, yes, I'll do it for $200, $500, however much it costs. We are so privileged to have insurance coverage because we work and the company provides this type of benefit to us, that you go for an X-ray, you go for an MRI, you go for ultrasound, it only costs you $20, $30.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are so many countries where this type of medical privilege is not provided for such a low amount.
Yeah. You're right. Another side, my experience here, because people don't have to pay all those examination, they have just to have pay the insurance. They have also a mentality, I have right to have that examination. I have paid my insurance. So yeah, why not? Just you say it in Indonesia, if you don't have any money, so you just wait until it's not bearable anymore. So you don't go also quickly to the doctor. But if somebody were to go to the doctor, this is something serious. But here, you have a headache because you have a quarreling with your neighbor. They went to the doctor here.
Very different culturally.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure we will talk again. And we haven't talked about a lot of things, Maya, in terms of your journey after medical school and how did you ended up in the Netherlands in the first place. But I think maybe we can save that for another conversation. And I want to thank you for your time and
You're
for
welcome.
telling us your story, your life story, as well as for the future opportunities where we will talk again. I really thank you for your honesty and thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share my story. And I wish you also a good luck, Adi.
Thank you, Maya.
Yeah. Bye.